Today, I want to share my top 5 tips for becoming a more powerful dreamer. And dreaming is something that has been on my mind a lot recently, as we're about halfway between the lunar eclipse that happened in Gemini on November 30th and the solar eclipse that will happen in Sagittarius on December 14th. A lot of people I know have been telling me that they've been having really weird dreams, and this is really common. I've had a lot of weird dreams during eclipse season. And because people are really remembering their dreams maybe a little more than they usually do, I think it's a great time to start keeping a record of your dreams and starting a dream journal. Dreams have been such an important part of me connecting to my wisdom of my wider self. And I think that dreams are such an important gateway to understanding the work that we're meant to do in this lifetime here on earth. And so it's really important to keep track of our dreams and to work on becoming more powerful dreamers, especially in this moment in time. So here's my top 5 tips. Tip number 1. I know that this probably seems really basic, but keeping a notebook on your nightstand is absolutely essential. And everybody talks about that you need to have a notebook to record your dreams in. But here's a few things that seem obvious, but were not super obvious to me. The biggest thing that really changed the game for me was keeping my notebook open. And I know that it can sometimes be weird or uncomfortable, especially if we've had experiences where maybe people have read our journals before. I know I've had experiences like that. And I'm really lucky and fortunate that right now I have a partner who I don't worry that she's going to go and look at my journal, you know, while I'm not in the room. So I like to keep my journal, and this is actually the dream journal that I use, open on my nightstand, and I'll just have it flipped open to a blank page every day. I just flip it to a new page and I leave the pen either on top or I just stick it in to the spiral. And this makes it really, really easy for me to just literally roll over, grab my pen, and scribble down the first thing that comes to my mind. It's really important to not judge whatever comes out. If all that you can remember is, oh, purple bees, or sometimes it's just a series of numbers, even if it doesn't seem significant, just write it down because you're training your mind to remember your dreams. I would really recommend having a specific notebook that you just use for recording your dreams, that it's not like your daily journal or anything like that. It's just your dream journal. And that'll help you to keep it in the right spot and be able to go back to it again and again. My second tip is to work with plants, and I love working with plants. Obviously, if you haven't checked out my flower essence videos, you can see those on my channel. I talk a lot about working with flower essences here and also over on my podcast and on my blog at ashgravity.com. So there's a ton of content out there that I've already made for free for people to learn more about flower essences. Before I go to bed at night, I like to take a few drops of a blend that I created. I actually sell it on my website if you're interested in it. It's called Awaken Dream. And this essence has mugwort flower essence in it. I also like to take a mugwort tincture before I go to bed at night, and this just helps me to have more vivid dreams. But you don't always have to work with plants that are specific to dreaming to have more potent dreams. So, for example, earlier this year, I was working with meadowsweet a lot, and I was really deepening my relationship to that plant. So, I would take some drops of meadowsweet flower essence before I went to bed at night, and the dreams that I had were different than the kinds of dreams that I usually have with my Awakened Dream flower essence blend that I take pretty much every day, although sometimes I like to experiment with some other plants. I like to do this right before I go to bed, and there's a few other ways that you can incorporate plants into going to bed and in your nighttime routine, and some of these things might be things you already do. So I know some people really like to have an essential oil diffuser on before they go to bed at night. I'm pretty sensitive to smells, and so is my dog. So I don't like to go overboard with the essential oils, but I do also make a spritzer bottle that has essential oils and flower essences in it. So I will spray that on my bed or on my pillow before I go to bed at night. And that also helps me to connect into that dream state. And I actually sell that at my website too. It's this Awakened Dream Flower Essence Spray. One of the things that you maybe did when you were a kid was have a little pouch of herbs that you put under your pillow. And that's not something that I do a lot, but I know other people really love working with plants that way, especially if you are really sensitive to smells. Flower essences don't have any smells, but some of the other things that have essential oils obviously do. So just wanted to mention that that's another option that's available for you, is to make a little dream pouch. Tip number three is to write down a question before you go to sleep. You will be amazed by how accurate the responses that you get from your dreams will be when you do this. So, how do you do it? I will take my dream journal, like I just showed you, and then before I go to bed at night, when I'm spritzing my pillow and taking my flower essence, if I have a question that's on my mind, like, how should I approach this thing with my work? Or what do I need to be focusing on with my spiritual development? I'll write that question down on the page, and then I'll kind of think about it, ruminate on it a little bit before I fall asleep. And in the morning, I immediately write down, just like I always do, whatever I remember from my dreams. You will be really surprised. Sometimes the dream will answer in a really direct way your question, and sometimes it's more in a symbolic way. But I highly recommend this, especially if there's something that's just like really weighing on you and you really want an answer. Tip number four is to share your dreams with others, ask for feedback, but ultimately rely on yourself. And this is really important. So often when we're dreaming, we wake up and the first thing that we want to do is go to Google. What does it mean to dream about a red car? What does it dream to be stuck in a parking lot? You have the best understanding of the symbols that appear in your dreams. And yes, some of those outside resources can be helpful, but it's important to remember that there is going to be some nuance to what those symbols stand for in your own life. So sometimes it's helpful to ask somebody else, hey, I had this dream and I'm trying to figure out what it means. How would you perceive this dream? If you had this dream, what would that mean to you? But don't take what other people say as gospel either, because sometimes they have their own nuance to the things that you're saying about these different symbols that appeared to you in your dream, these different archetypes that showed up, and they might influence your interpretation. So ultimately, be your own dream interpreter. Go and look into Google and Dream Journal or Dream dictionaries and other people's opinions. But remember that ultimately, you're the one who gets to decide and understand on a deeper level what your dreams are about. Tip number five is to practice meditation, journeying, or just plain daydreaming. Connecting into dream time and dream world during the daylight hours rather than only dreaming at night will make you a more powerful dreamer during the night. Part of the reason I think this is so powerful is that when we tap into dream world during the day, it teaches us that this symbolic language of dreams is something that is valid and important to pay attention to. And this helps to strengthen our ability to recall our dreams. When I first started with dream work, I was really into lucid dreaming. And I think a lot of people get into lucid dreaming. But I found that guided meditations or visualizations were even more powerful for me. I don't always like to listen to other people's instructions. So that's not necessarily, sometimes when people talk about guided meditation, you're just thinking about somebody telling you specifically what to do. And that can be really helpful. And I do that in my own work with clients. But I really like to just listen to theta wave tracks and listen to music that gets me into a relaxed state of mind and allow my mind to free associate and flow and see where my mind takes me. So, setting a timer for 15 to 20 minutes and listening to some theta wave tracks that are specific for dreaming, or listening to some, music that maybe people use for lucid dreaming or journey work, is something that has really helped me, not only in my daytime interpreting my dreams, but has made me a stronger dreamer at night. I personally believe that dreams give us important messages for the work that we are meant to carry out on Earth. So if you feel lost, confused, or frustrated right now, I would encourage you to seek answers in your dreams. And that's all I really wanted to share with you today. If you want to learn more about dreaming, flower essences, my work with astrology, head over to ashgravity.com. And I also would encourage you to subscribe and like this video so that you can get notifications every time I put out a new video. I share monthly horoscope forecasts for all signs, and I also like to come on every once in a while and share some additional insights around my own spiritual journey, things that I've learned, things that have been helpful for me. So if you're on a journey like me, then I hope that you will follow along, and I'll talk to you soon.